Chosen one, something is shifting right now, and you can feel it, even if no one has said anything directly yet. Because the silence that once surrounded certain truths is no longer stable. It is no longer being maintained. And the people who once held back, who once stayed quiet, who once chose not to speak, are reaching a point where they simply cannot hold it in anymore. This is not random. This is not sudden. This has been building over time, through observation, through internal conflict, through moments where they wanted to say something but didn't, where they saw things clearly but chose silence, where they understood more than they expressed. And now that pressure has reached a level where silence is no longer an option for them. What makes this moment so significant is not just that the truth is coming out, but that it is coming out regardless of consequences, regardless of reactions, regardless of what it might disrupt. Because they have reached a point where holding it in feels more difficult than revealing it. Stay with this message, because understanding why this is happening now and what it means for you will change how you receive what is coming. And if you can already sense that something is about to be revealed, take a moment right now to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment, "I'm ready for the truth," to align yourself with this moment. Because what is about to surface is not just information, it is clarity that will shift how you see everything moving forward. And as you begin to sense the weight of what is about to be revealed, as you feel that shift in the atmosphere that tells you something long held back is finally reaching the surface, you are brought to an important realization that grounds this entire moment. Because before anything is said, before any truth is spoken out loud, there is a reason it remained hidden for so long. A reason why silence was chosen over expression. A reason why what is now ready to come forward was once held back with intention. And understanding that reason allows you to receive what is coming with clarity rather than confusion. They did not stay silent because there was nothing to say. They stayed silent because the conditions were not aligned for it to be said, because the timing did not support it, because the environment did not allow it to be expressed without consequence, and in many cases, because they themselves were not fully ready to carry the weight of what they knew. You may begin to reflect on how often people hold back truth, not out of dishonesty, but out of hesitation, out of uncertainty, out of the awareness that once something is spoken, it cannot be taken back, that it changes the dynamic, that it shifts everything that follows. They were navigating that space, holding what they knew internally while trying to maintain external balance, trying to avoid disruption, trying to keep things stable, even when they could feel that something beneath the surface was not aligned. There may have been fear involved, not necessarily fear of you, but fear of the outcome, fear of how things would change, fear of the reactions that could follow. Because truth, when it is revealed, does not just exist on its own. It interacts with everything around it. It shifts relationships. It redefines understanding. It forces clarity where there was once ambiguity. And not everyone is ready to initiate that kind of shift immediately, especially when they are still processing it themselves. You may begin to see that their silence was not passive. It was active. It required effort. It required restraint. It required them to hold back what they were aware of while continuing to engage as if nothing had changed. And that kind of silence creates pressure over time, because what is known internally does not disappear simply because it is not expressed externally. It builds. It accumulates. It becomes something that eventually needs to be released. But before it reaches that point, there is always a phase where they try to manage it, where they try to balance what they know with what they are willing to say, where they attempt to maintain a sense of normalcy even as their awareness shifts. This is where the complexity of their silence lies. Because it is not just about withholding information. It is about navigating the gap between awareness and expression, between knowing and speaking, between understanding and revealing. You may also begin to recognize that their silence was influenced by observation, that they were not only holding back, but watching, paying attention to how things unfolded, to how you moved, to how the situation developed, to whether the truth would become visible without them needing to say anything. Sometimes silence is maintained because there is a hope that clarity will emerge on its own, that things will reveal themselves without intervention, that the need to speak will become unnecessary because the reality will become obvious. But when that does not happen, when the truth remains beneath the surface, when the misalignment continues without being addressed, that is when the pressure begins to increase. That is when the silence becomes more difficult to sustain. You may also consider that their silence could have been shaped by uncertainty, not about what they saw, but about how to interpret it, about whether their understanding was complete, about whether they had enough clarity to express it accurately. People often wait until they feel certain before they speak, especially when what they are holding carries weight, carries consequences, carries the potential to change how things are perceived. They were likely moving through that process, refining their understanding, confirming what they observed, ensuring that what they would eventually say was grounded in something real rather than something assumed. This is why silence can last longer than expected, because it is not just about holding back. It is about preparing, about reaching a level of clarity that supports expression. And as you reflect on this, you begin to see that their silence was not meaningless. It was part of a process, part of a phase where awareness was forming, where understanding was developing, where the decision to speak was being weighed against the impact it would have. You may also realize that, in some ways, their silence gave you space. Space to move, space to observe, space to develop your own awareness without being influenced by what they might have said earlier. Sometimes, silence delays clarity, but sometimes it allows clarity to form independently, to emerge from your own experience rather than from someone else's perspective. And this is where your position becomes important, because you were not relying on their words to understand what was happening. You were observing. You were aligning. You were building your own clarity. And now that their silence is ending, now that they are ready to speak, what they reveal may confirm what you already sensed, may connect pieces you have already been putting together, may bring to the surface what has been forming beneath your awareness all along. But before that happens, it is essential to recognize that their silence was not a void. It was a phase, a period where things were being held, processed, observed. And that phase is what led to this moment, to the point where they can no longer hold it in, where the balance between knowing and not speaking has shifted, where the need to express has become stronger than the need to remain silent. And understanding this allows you to receive what is coming without confusion, without questioning why it took so long, because you see that everything unfolds in its own timing, that clarity emerges when it is ready, that truth is revealed when the conditions align for it to be spoken. You are not here to judge the silence. You are here to understand it, to see how it fits into the larger process, to recognize that what is about to be said carries the weight of everything that was held back, everything that was observed, everything that was processed over time. And as you hold this awareness, as you prepare to receive what is coming, you remain grounded, you remain aligned, you remain connected to your own clarity, ensuring that when the truth is finally spoken, you are not overwhelmed by it, but able to understand it, to integrate it, to use it as a point of alignment rather than a source of disruption, allowing everything that follows to unfold with a level of clarity that is fully connected to your own awareness and your own path. And as you begin to understand why they remained silent for so long, as you recognize that their silence was not empty, but filled with observation, hesitation, and internal processing, there comes another layer that brings everything into sharper focus. Because something changed inside of them. Something shifted in a way that made holding back no longer possible. And this is where the entire dynamic transforms. Because the same person who once chose silence has now reached a point where silence feels heavier than truth, where not speaking creates more tension than revealing what they know. This shift did not happen suddenly. It was not a random decision made in a single moment. It was the result of accumulation, of everything they observed, everything they held in, everything they processed over time, reaching a level where it could no longer remain contained. You may begin to see that when someone carries awareness without expression for too long, it creates internal pressure, a kind of imbalance between what is known and what is shared. And that imbalance eventually demands resolution, because the mind and the awareness seek alignment. They seek a state where what is understood internally is no longer disconnected from what is expressed externally. This is the point they have reached, a point where their internal clarity has become strong enough that it overrides their hesitation, where their understanding has become solid enough that they no longer question whether it should be said, where their need for alignment becomes stronger than their need to maintain silence. You may also consider that their perspective has evolved, that what they once saw as uncertain or incomplete has now become clear, that what they once hesitated to express has now been confirmed through repeated observation, through patterns that have not changed, through situations that have reinforced their understanding rather than challenged it. This is where confidence replaces hesitation, where clarity replaces doubt, where the question is no longer, should I say something, but why am I still holding this in? And once that shift occurs, once the internal dialogue moves from questioning to certainty, the decision to speak becomes inevitable, because it is no longer based on external conditions. It is based on internal alignment. They are no longer waiting for the perfect moment. They are responding to a level of clarity that no longer allows them to remain silent. You may also begin to notice that this shift is often triggered by a realization, a moment where everything connects, where what they have been observing over time suddenly makes complete sense, where the pieces align in a way that removes any remaining doubt. This is not always a dramatic moment. Sometimes it is quiet. Sometimes it is simply the final confirmation they needed. But once it happens, it changes everything, because it removes the uncertainty that was holding them back. They are no longer navigating between possibilities. They are standing in understanding. And that understanding creates momentum. It pushes them toward expression, toward revealing what they know, toward closing the gap between awareness and communication. You may also recognize that this shift can be influenced by your own movement, by your alignment, by the way you have been navigating your path. Because as you have remained consistent, as you have continued to act with clarity, you have created a reference point, something that reflects back to them what is real and what is not, what is aligned and what is not. And that reflection may have contributed to their clarity, may have helped them see things more clearly, may have reinforced what they were already sensing. This is where everything becomes interconnected, Because your alignment does not just affect you, it influences the environment. It creates a contrast that makes misalignment more visible, that makes truth more apparent, that makes silence more difficult to maintain. They may not have fully understood this influence at first, but as your consistency remained, as your actions continued to reflect clarity, it became harder for them to ignore what they were seeing, harder for them to maintain a narrative that did not match reality, harder for them to justify staying silent when everything around them was pointing toward the truth. This is where their internal shift becomes inevitable, because the external environment no longer supports their silence, because what is visible no longer aligns with what is being withheld, because the gap between perception and reality becomes too large to ignore. You may also begin to see that this moment is not just about them deciding to speak. It is about them reaching a point of alignment within themselves, where their awareness, their understanding, and their expression are no longer separate, where they are ready to bring everything together, to allow what they know to exist openly rather than internally. This is a form of resolution for them, a way of releasing the pressure that has been building, a way of restoring balance between what they see and what they say. And as you reflect on this, you begin to understand that this shift is not something you caused directly, but something your alignment may have supported, something that your presence may have influenced, something that your consistency may have accelerated. You did not force them to this point, but your clarity created a space where their own clarity could no longer remain hidden. And this is where your awareness becomes important, because as they move from silence to expression, you are not caught off guard. You are not surprised by the shift. You understand the process that led to it. You recognize that this moment has been building, that it is the natural result of everything that has been observed and processed over time. You are not reacting to the change. You are understanding it. You are seeing how it fits into the larger pattern, how it connects to everything that has been unfolding. And as you hold this understanding, you remain grounded. You remain aligned. You do not rush to respond or to interpret. You allow the truth to emerge fully, to reveal itself in its own timing, knowing that what is being expressed now carries the weight of everything that was held before, that it is not incomplete, that it is not random, that it is the result of a process that has reached its point of expression. And this awareness allows you to receive what is coming with clarity, with stability, with a sense of readiness that is not based on expectation, but on understanding, ensuring that when the truth is finally spoken, you are not overwhelmed by it, but able to see it for what it is, to integrate it into your own awareness, to allow it to guide your next steps in a way that remains aligned with your path, your growth, and everything you have already come to understand. And as this internal shift within them becomes undeniable, as their silence transforms into a readiness to speak, and their hesitation dissolves into clarity, you are brought into an even deeper understanding of why the truth matters now, not before, not later, but in this exact moment. Because timing is not random, and truth does not emerge without alignment. It surfaces when the conditions are right, when awareness has matured, when the environment can no longer sustain the weight of what has been hidden. And this is where everything begins to connect in a way that is both precise and intentional. You may begin to see that truth is not just about information. It is about alignment. It is about bringing what is real into a space where it can no longer be ignored, where it can interact with everything around it and create clarity where there was once confusion. And that process requires timing. It requires a moment where the impact of the truth will not be lost, where it will be recognized, understood, and integrated, rather than dismissed or misunderstood. This is why it did not come earlier, because earlier, the conditions may not have supported it. The awareness may not have been fully formed. The environment may not have been ready to receive it. And when truth is revealed before those conditions are aligned, it often gets distorted, ignored, or rejected. Not because it is not valid, but because it is not yet supported by the surrounding context. But now, everything has shifted. Not just within them, but within the entire dynamic, within the environment, within your own awareness, within the patterns that have been unfolding. And this collective shift is what creates the right moment for truth to surface in a way that carries weight, in a way that cannot be easily dismissed. You may also begin to recognize that your own journey has played a role in this timing, that your alignment, your consistency, your ability to observe and understand without needing immediate confirmation has created a foundation within you that allows you to receive this truth differently. Not with shock, not with confusion, but with recognition. With a sense of, this connects. With an awareness that what is being revealed aligns with what you have already been sensing. This is where the truth becomes more than just something you hear. It becomes something that integrates into your existing understanding. Something that completes a picture that was already forming within you. And this is why it matters now. Because you are in a position to understand it, to process it, to use it as clarity rather than react to it as disruption. You are not being introduced to something completely foreign. You are being given confirmation, alignment, connection. Something that brings together what you have observed and what you now hear, creating a level of clarity that was not possible before. You may also see that the situation itself has reached a point where truth is necessary, where continuing without it would only create more confusion, more misalignment, more distortion. Because when something remains hidden for too long, it begins to affect everything around it. It influences perception. It shapes interactions. It creates a reality that is not fully grounded in truth. And over time, that becomes unsustainable. Because the gap between what is real and what is perceived continues to grow until it must be addressed. This is where the need for truth becomes urgent, not in a dramatic sense, but in a structural sense. Because without it, the entire dynamic cannot move forward in a stable way. You may begin to understand that this moment is not just about revealing something that was hidden. It is about restoring alignment, about bringing everything back into a space where it can be seen clearly, where decisions can be made based on reality rather than assumption, where your path can continue without being influenced by incomplete information. This is what makes truth powerful. Not because it disrupts, but because it clarifies. Not because it creates chaos, but because it removes it, even if that process feels intense in the moment. You may also notice that there is a sense of inevitability to this, that once everything reached this point, there was no other outcome. That truth had to come out, that it could not remain hidden any longer. And that inevitability is what gives this moment its weight, because it shows that this is not random, this is not optional. This is a necessary step in the progression of everything that has been unfolding. You are not encountering this by chance. You are encountering it because your path has led you to a place where this level of clarity is required for your next phase to begin. And as you hold this understanding, you begin to see that your role in this is not to react, not to become overwhelmed, not to allow the intensity of the moment to pull you out of alignment, but to remain grounded, to receive what is revealed with awareness, to integrate it into your understanding without losing your center. You are not here to be shaken by truth. You are here to be aligned with it, to use it as a guide, as a point of clarity that allows you to move forward with greater precision, with greater awareness, with a deeper understanding of what is real. This is where your strength becomes evident, not in how you respond emotionally, but in how you maintain your alignment, in how you allow truth to inform your direction without disrupting your stability. You are not being tested by what is revealed. You are being supported by it, given the clarity needed to navigate your path more effectively, to make decisions with a fuller understanding, to move forward without the uncertainty that comes from incomplete information. And as this truth begins to unfold, as it moves from silence into expression, you remain in that space of awareness, that space of clarity, allowing it to integrate naturally, allowing it to connect with what you already know, ensuring that everything that follows is not driven by reaction, but guided by understanding, by alignment, by a deeper connection to your own path and the reality that is now being revealed to you. And as the truth begins to surface, as the silence that once held everything together dissolves, and what was hidden starts to take form, in words, in explanations, in revelations that carry the weight of everything that was once unspoken, you are brought into the next layer of understanding. Because what the truth will reveal is not just a single detail or a simple explanation. It is a deeper structure, a set of connections that were always present but not fully visible, a pattern that only becomes clear once all the pieces are brought into the open. You may begin to notice that as things are revealed, they do not stand alone. They connect. They link back to moments you have already experienced, to situations that once felt unclear, to interactions that did not fully make sense at the time. And suddenly, those moments begin to align. They begin to form a coherent picture that was previously fragmented. This is where the power of truth becomes evident. Not because it introduces something entirely new, but because it reorganizes what you already knew. It brings clarity to what you had sensed. It confirms what you may have questioned. And in doing so, it removes the uncertainty that once surrounded those experiences. You may find yourself reflecting on past situations with a new perspective, seeing them not as isolated events, but as part of a larger pattern. Understanding why certain things happened the way they did, why certain dynamics felt off, why certain interactions carried a tone you could not fully explain at the time. This is the nature of revelation. It does not just add information, it transforms understanding. It shifts perception in a way that allows everything to be seen more clearly, more accurately, more completely. And as this process unfolds, you begin to see that what is being revealed is not just about others. It is also about you, about your position within the situation, about how your awareness interacted with what was happening, about how your intuition may have already been guiding you even before everything was confirmed. You may realize that there were moments where you felt something was not fully aligned, where you sensed that there was more beneath the surface, where your awareness picked up on details that were not yet explained, and now, as the truth emerges, those moments gain context, they gain clarity. They show you that your perception was not misplaced, that your awareness was functioning even when you did not have all the information. This is where your confidence in your own understanding begins to deepen, because you see that you were not dependent on external confirmation to sense what was real, that your ability to observe and align was already active, already guiding you in ways that are now becoming more visible. You may also begin to recognize that the truth is not always simple, that it may reveal layers, complexities, nuances that require you to stay grounded, to process without rushing to conclusions, to allow yourself to understand fully rather than reacting immediately. This is where your stability becomes important, because truth can carry weight. It can shift perspectives quickly, It can change how things are seen in an instant, and without grounding, it is easy to be pulled into reaction, into emotional responses that may not fully reflect your level of awareness. But you are not here to react impulsively. You are here to understand, to integrate, to allow the truth to settle into your awareness in a way that supports your alignment rather than disrupts it. You may also see that what is revealed does not just clarify the past, it informs the present and the future. It shows you how to move forward, what to align with, what to release, what to recognize more quickly moving ahead. This is where truth becomes a tool, not just a revelation, but a guide. Something that sharpens your awareness, that refines your perception, that allows you to navigate your path with greater precision. You are not just receiving information, you are gaining clarity that strengthens your process, that enhances your ability to recognize alignment and misalignment, that supports your growth in a way that extends beyond this moment. And as you continue to process what is being revealed, you begin to see that the impact is not limited to a single realization. It extends outward. It influences how you interpret situations, how you engage with others, how you trust your own awareness moving forward. This is where everything becomes more connected, more aligned, more grounded in reality rather than assumption. Because truth removes distortion. It brings everything into focus. It allows you to see clearly without needing to fill in gaps with uncertainty. You may also recognize that not everything revealed will require action, that some aspects are simply meant to be understood, to be acknowledged, to be integrated into your awareness without needing immediate response. This is where your discernment becomes important, because clarity does not always demand reaction. Sometimes it simply provides understanding that informs your direction without requiring you to engage directly. You are not here to respond to every detail. You are here to see the bigger picture, to recognize what matters, to align your actions with what supports your growth. And as this truth continues to unfold, you remain centered. You remain aware. You allow it to reveal itself fully without rushing the process, knowing that everything that is coming forward is part of a larger alignment, part of a shift that is bringing clarity not just to the situation, but to your path, to your understanding, to your ability to move forward with a level of awareness that is deeper, more refined, more connected to what is real. You are not overwhelmed by what is revealed. You are supported by it. You are guided by it. You are aligned with it in a way that allows you to continue your journey with greater clarity, greater confidence, and a deeper understanding of everything that has led you to this moment, and everything that will follow from it. And as the truth continues to unfold, as each piece connects to another, and what once felt scattered now forms a clear and undeniable picture, you are brought into a deeper realization that shifts your focus from what is being revealed to why you are the one meant to receive it. Because not everyone is positioned to hear truth at the moment it becomes visible. Not everyone has the awareness to process it without distortion. Not everyone has the alignment to integrate it without being thrown off their path. And this is where your role becomes clear. Not as someone who simply hears information, but as someone who is prepared to understand it at the level it is being given. You may begin to see that your journey, everything you have gone through, everything you have observed, everything you have learned to recognize without needing immediate explanation, has been preparing you for this moment, has been refining your awareness in a way that allows you to receive what is now being revealed without confusion, without needing to force understanding. Because much of what you are hearing already exists within your awareness in some form. already connects to what you have sensed, already aligns with patterns you have been noticing. This is why you were meant to hear it, because you are not encountering it as something completely foreign. You are encountering it as something that completes a structure that was already forming within you. You may also recognize that if this had come to you earlier, before your awareness reached this level, it might have created more questions than clarity. It might have led to reaction rather than understanding. It might have disrupted your process rather than supported it. And this is where timing becomes essential. Because truth is not just about being revealed, it is about being received in the right state. In a state where it can be integrated rather than resisted, where it can guide rather than confuse. You are now in that state, in a position where your awareness allows you to see beyond the surface, to understand not just what is being said, but what it means, how it connects, how it influences your path moving forward. You are not just listening, you are interpreting, you are aligning, you are integrating. And that level of engagement with truth is what makes this moment significant for you specifically. You may also begin to see that your ability to remain grounded, to not react impulsively, to not allow the intensity of revelation to pull you out of alignment, is what allows this truth to serve you rather than overwhelm you. Because truth, when it carries weight, can create strong reactions if not received with awareness. It can shift emotions. It can challenge perceptions. It can create a sense of urgency that pushes people into action before understanding is fully established. But you are not operating from that space. You are allowing the truth to settle, to connect, to become part of your awareness in a way that supports your clarity rather than disrupts it. This is where your strength becomes evident, not in how quickly you respond, but in how clearly you understand, in how steadily you remain aligned, even as everything becomes more visible. You may also notice that this moment creates a sense of confirmation within you, a quiet recognition that what you have been sensing, what you have been aligning with, what you have been building internally was not random, was not imagined, was not misplaced, but grounded in something real, something that is now being reflected back to you through what is being revealed. This confirmation does not inflate you, it stabilizes you. It reinforces your trust in your own awareness. It strengthens your confidence in your ability to navigate situations without needing external validation to confirm what you already sense. You begin to see that your awareness is not something you need to question. It is something you can rely on, something that has been guiding you even before everything became clear externally. And as this realization deepens, you understand that this truth is not just about the situation. It is about you, about your growth, about your alignment, about your ability to receive, process, and integrate information in a way that supports your path rather than distracts from it. You are not here to be shaken by what is revealed. You are here to be strengthened by it, to use it as a point of clarity that allows you to move forward with greater precision, with greater awareness, with a deeper understanding of what aligns with you and what does not. You may also recognize that not everyone around you would receive this truth in the same way, that some would react, some would resist, some would misinterpret. And this is what further highlights why you are the one meant to hear it. Because your alignment allows you to see it for what it is, without distortion, without unnecessary reaction, without being pulled into dynamics that do not serve your growth. This is where your discernment becomes essential. Because receiving truth is one thing, using it effectively is another. And your ability to distinguish what requires action and what requires understanding is what ensures that this moment supports your path rather than complicates it. You are not here to act on every detail. You are here to align with the clarity it provides, to use it as guidance, as insight, as a way to refine your direction without losing your center. And as you continue to hold this awareness, as you allow the truth to integrate fully, you begin to see that this moment is not an interruption. It is an alignment, a point where everything that was once unclear becomes visible, where everything that was once fragmented becomes connected, where your path becomes more defined, more precise, more aligned with who you have become. You are not reacting to what is being revealed. You are recognizing it. You are integrating it. You are allowing it to support your growth in a way that is steady, grounded, and fully connected to your awareness, ensuring that everything you do from this point forward reflects the clarity you have gained, the alignment you have maintained, and the understanding that continues to guide you forward. And as the truth fully enters your awareness, as what was once hidden becomes clear, and what was once uncertain now stands defined in a way that cannot be ignored, there comes a crucial moment that determines how this entire experience will shape your path moving forward. Because how you respond when truth arrives is just as important as the truth itself. And this is where your alignment, your discipline, and your level of awareness are tested in a way that is subtle but powerful. You are not being asked to react. You are being asked to remain grounded. Because when something significant is revealed, the immediate instinct for many is to respond emotionally, to act quickly, to adjust everything based on what has just been learned. But you are not operating at that level anymore. You understand that clarity does not demand urgency, that truth does not require immediate action, that the most aligned response is often one that is steady, measured, and connected to your process rather than driven by the intensity of the moment. You may feel the weight of what has been revealed, not as something overwhelming, but as something significant, something that carries implications, something that shifts your understanding in a way that naturally creates a desire to respond, to do something, to act. But this is where your control becomes essential, because responding without full integration can lead to actions that are not fully aligned, that are influenced by the surface impact rather than the deeper understanding that comes with time and reflection. You are not here to react to the first layer of truth. You are here to understand it fully, to allow it to settle, to see how it connects to everything else, to recognize what it changes and what it does not. This is where your patience becomes part of your strength, because you are able to hold clarity without immediately converting it into action. You are able to sit with understanding until it becomes stable, until it becomes something you can rely on, rather than something you are still processing. You may also begin to notice that not everything revealed requires your involvement, that some truths are meant to inform rather than engage, that some insights are meant to guide your awareness rather than trigger immediate change. And your ability to distinguish between those is what keeps you aligned, what prevents you from being pulled into unnecessary dynamics, what allows you to maintain your direction even as new information becomes available. You are not here to respond to everything. You are here to respond intentionally, selectively, in a way that reflects your understanding rather than your initial reaction. This is where your awareness becomes your anchor, because it allows you to remain centered, to observe your own responses, to recognize when something is pulling you toward reaction, and to choose alignment instead. You may also find that your response is not about what you say or do externally, but about how you adjust internally, how you integrate what you have learned into your perspective. how you refine your understanding in a way that influences your future decisions without needing to create immediate external change. This is where true response happens. Not in reaction, but in integration. In the way you allow truth to reshape your awareness without disrupting your stability. You are not suppressing your response, you are refining it. You are allowing it to form in a way that is aligned with your process, in a way that is grounded in understanding rather than driven by impulse. You may also begin to see that your ability to remain grounded in this moment reflects your growth, reflects how far you have come. Because there may have been a time when this kind of revelation would have created immediate reaction, would have pulled you into emotion, into action, into a need to respond quickly. But now, you are different. You are operating from a place of clarity, from a place of awareness that allows you to hold information without being controlled by it, to process without being overwhelmed, to respond without losing your center. This is what defines your level. Not just what you know, but how you handle what you know, how you move with it, how you allow it to support your direction rather than disrupt it. You may also recognize that this moment is an opportunity, not just to understand what has been revealed, but to observe yourself, to see how you respond, to see how your alignment holds under new awareness, to see how your process adapts without losing its structure. This is where your growth becomes active, where you are not just receiving information, but using it to refine your approach, to strengthen your alignment, to ensure that everything you do moving forward is informed by a deeper level of clarity. You are not reacting to truth, you are aligning with it. You are allowing it to guide your perception, to sharpen your awareness, to support your decisions in a way that is stable and intentional. And as you continue to hold this position, as you allow the truth to integrate fully before acting, you begin to see that your response is not something that happens in a single moment. It is something that unfolds, something that becomes clearer over time, something that aligns with your process rather than disrupts it. You are not rushing to respond. You are allowing your response to become aligned, to become something that reflects your understanding rather than your initial reaction. This is where your power lies, not in immediate action, but in intentional movement, not in reacting quickly, but in responding correctly, in a way that supports your path, your growth, your alignment. And as you move forward from this moment, you carry this understanding with you, ensuring that everything you do is grounded in clarity, in awareness, in a level of control that allows you to navigate even the most significant revelations without losing your center, without being pulled off your path, allowing your growth to continue in a way that is steady, aligned, and fully connected to who you have become. And as everything settles into place, as the truth has been revealed, processed, and integrated into your awareness in a way that no longer feels overwhelming, but instead feels clarifying, grounding, and stabilizing, you are brought into the final shift of this entire phase. Because what happens after the truth is out is where your direction becomes even more defined, where your alignment either deepens or becomes diluted, depending on how you choose to move forward. And this is where your awareness must remain fully present, because this is not just the end of something being hidden. It is the beginning of a new phase, where everything is now visible, where nothing remains beneath the surface, where the dynamic has fundamentally changed. You may begin to notice that once truth is revealed, the environment cannot return to what it was before, because awareness alters perception, and perception alters behavior, and behavior reshapes the entire structure of interaction. meaning that everything from this point forward carries a different tone, a different level of clarity, a different level of intention. People may respond differently. Dynamics may shift. Certain connections may become stronger while others begin to fade. And this is not something to control. It is something to observe, because these shifts are natural. They are the result of alignment replacing illusion, of clarity replacing uncertainty. And as this happens, you remain grounded, not trying to force outcomes, not trying to manage every change, but allowing everything to settle into its new form while maintaining your own alignment. You may also begin to feel a sense of release, not necessarily emotional in an overwhelming way, but structural, as if something that was once unclear no longer holds weight, as if the mental space that was once occupied by uncertainty is now open, allowing your focus to become sharper, your direction to become clearer, your energy to be redirected toward what truly aligns with your path. This is where your growth becomes more efficient, because you are no longer navigating with incomplete information. You are moving with clarity, with awareness, with a level of understanding that allows you to make decisions without hesitation, without needing to second-guess what you already know. You may also notice that your relationships, your environment, and even your own internal dialogue begin to reflect this clarity. That things become more defined, more intentional, more aligned with your current level, because truth has a way of filtering what remains and what does not. It reveals what is stable and what is not, what aligns and what does not. And this natural filtering process is what creates space for your next phase to fully emerge. You are not losing anything in this process. You are refining. You are aligning. You are allowing your environment to match your awareness rather than forcing yourself to remain in spaces that no longer reflect your growth. This is where your confidence becomes even more stable, because it is no longer based on assumption. It is based on clarity. It is supported by what you now understand, by what has been revealed, by what has been confirmed through both your own awareness and the truth that has surfaced. You are no longer questioning your perception. You are trusting it. You are no longer navigating blindly. You are moving with vision, with intention, with a clear sense of direction that is grounded in reality rather than uncertainty. And as you continue forward, you begin to see that this phase is not about reacting to what has been revealed, but about building on it, about using the clarity you now have to refine your path, to strengthen your alignment, to ensure that everything you do moving forward is fully connected to your understanding. You are not here to dwell on what was hidden. You are here to move forward with what is now clear, to allow that clarity to guide your decisions, to shape your actions, to influence how you engage with everything that comes next. You may also recognize that not everything will change immediately, that some shifts take time, that some dynamics will gradually adjust rather than transform instantly. And this is where your patience remains important, because you understand that alignment is a process, that clarity unfolds over time, that your role is not to rush change, but to remain aligned as it occurs. You are not forcing outcomes, you are allowing them to develop in a way that is consistent with your awareness, ensuring that your path remains stable even as everything around you evolves. And as this new phase continues to take shape, you carry with you a deeper level of understanding, a stronger sense of alignment, a clearer connection to your own process, ensuring that whatever comes next is approached with the same level of awareness, the same level of discipline, the same level of clarity that has brought you to this point. You are not stepping into the unknown blindly. You are stepping into it with vision, with understanding, with a foundation that supports your movement forward, allowing your growth to continue in a way that is intentional, aligned, and fully connected to the truth that has now been revealed, ensuring that everything you build from this point reflects not only where you have been, but who you have become and where you are going. And as you continue to stand in that space where everything is now visible, where nothing remains hidden beneath layers of silence or uncertainty, there is an even deeper transition that begins to take place within you. One that is less about what has been revealed and more about how you evolve because of it. Because once truth has been fully seen, once clarity has replaced confusion, you are no longer the same person who existed before that moment. You cannot return to the same level of perception, the same level of tolerance, the same level of engagement, because awareness changes everything. It refines what you accept. It reshapes what you allow. It redefines how you move. You may begin to notice that your standards shift without you forcing them to. That what once felt acceptable now feels misaligned. That what once required effort to recognize now becomes obvious almost instantly. And this is not something you need to question. It is a natural result of your awareness expanding, of your alignment deepening, of your process becoming more precise. This is where your growth becomes more self-sustaining, because you are no longer relying on external confirmation to guide your decisions. You are operating from an internal clarity that continues to sharpen with every experience, every realization, every moment where you choose alignment over reaction. You may also begin to see that the truth did not just reveal something about others. It revealed something about you, about your ability to sense, to observe, to remain grounded even when things were unclear. And that realization strengthens your trust in yourself. Not in a loud or dramatic way, but in a quiet, stable way that becomes part of how you operate moving forward. You are no longer second-guessing your awareness. You are refining it. You are no longer waiting for validation. You are recognizing patterns earlier, responding with more clarity, moving with more intention. This is where your presence begins to carry a different energy. One that is not easily influenced, one that is not reactive, one that is grounded in understanding rather than assumption. You may also notice that as your awareness deepens, your engagement with the world becomes more selective. Not because you are closing yourself off, but because you are choosing where your energy goes with greater intention. You are no longer participating in dynamics that do not align. You are no longer investing in spaces that do not support your direction. And that selectivity is what protects your growth, what ensures that everything you build moving forward remains connected to your alignment rather than being scattered across what no longer serves you. This is not about control in a rigid sense. It is about clarity, about knowing what aligns and what does not, about moving in a way that reflects that understanding without needing to justify it. And as you continue to move within this space, you begin to experience a different kind of stability, one that does not depend on external conditions being perfect, one that exists regardless of what changes around you, because it is rooted in your awareness, in your process, in your ability to remain aligned even when the environment shifts. This is where your confidence becomes unshakable, not because everything is always certain, but because you trust your ability to navigate uncertainty, because you have experienced what it means to move through lack of clarity and arrive at understanding, because you know that your awareness will guide you, even when everything is not immediately visible. You may also begin to see that your path from this point forward becomes more intentional, more refined, more aligned with your true direction. Because the truth has removed what was unclear. It has eliminated the noise that once made it difficult to see clearly. And in that clarity, your next steps become more precise, more connected to your purpose, more grounded in your understanding. You are not wandering anymore. You are moving with direction. You are not reacting to what appears. You are choosing based on what aligns. And that shift is what allows your growth to continue in a way that is steady, consistent, and deeply rooted in your awareness. And as you move forward, you carry this clarity with you, not as something you constantly think about, but as something that becomes part of how you see, how you decide, how you engage with everything around you, ensuring that your path remains aligned, your direction remains clear, and your growth continues in a way that is not only sustained, but strengthened with every step you take. Because you are no longer operating in uncertainty, you are operating in awareness. And that awareness is what allows you to move forward with a level of clarity that cannot be easily shaken. A level of alignment that continues to guide you no matter what unfolds. Ensuring that everything you build from this point reflects not just what you have learned, but who you have become. And as everything now settles into a deeper sense of clarity within you, as the truth has not only been revealed, but fully integrated into your awareness, you begin to understand that this entire moment was never meant to destabilize you. It was meant to refine you, to bring you into a level of alignment where nothing hidden can influence your path without your awareness, where nothing unclear can shape your decisions without your understanding. And that realization is what anchors you moving forward. Because you are no longer navigating through uncertainty. You are moving with a level of clarity that allows you to see, to understand, and to act with intention rather than reaction. What was once held back is no longer holding power over you. What was once unclear no longer creates confusion. And what was once hidden no longer influences your perception in a way that distorts your direction. Because you have seen it. You have understood it. And now you are able to move beyond it without carrying its weight. This is where your growth becomes fully grounded, because it is no longer based on what you think might be happening. It is based on what you know, on what has been revealed, on what has been confirmed both through your own awareness and through what has surfaced externally. You are no longer questioning your perception. You are trusting it. You are no longer waiting for clarity. You are operating from it. And that shift is what allows your path to become more stable, more intentional, more aligned with who you have become. You may begin to see that this moment was not just about receiving truth. It was about stepping into a level where truth no longer surprises you in a way that throws you off your center, but instead aligns with what you have already been sensing, confirming your awareness rather than contradicting it, strengthening your confidence rather than creating doubt. And as you carry this forward, you do so with a different kind of presence, one that is not easily influenced, one that is not reactive, one that is grounded in understanding, in alignment, in a process that continues to guide you regardless of what changes around you. You are not here to hold on to what was revealed. You are here to use it, to allow it to refine your direction, to inform your decisions, to support your growth in a way that is consistent and aligned. This is where your focus remains, not on what has passed, not on what was hidden, but on how you continue, on how you maintain your clarity, on how you ensure that everything you build from this point reflects the same level of awareness that has brought you here. You are not starting over. You are moving forward from a place of understanding, from a foundation that has been strengthened by everything you have experienced, ensuring that your path remains clear, your direction remains stable, and your growth continues without being disrupted by what you have already moved beyond. And if you can feel this within yourself, if you recognize that this moment was not random, but aligned, that what has been revealed has brought you into a deeper level of clarity, take a moment right now to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment, I choose clarity as a way of anchoring this awareness within you. Because what you have stepped into is not just a realization. It is a shift in how you operate. A movement into a level where your awareness guides you, your alignment supports you, and your path continues to unfold in a way that is stable, intentional, and fully connected to who you have become, allowing you to move forward with confidence, with clarity, and with a sense of direction that is no longer influenced by what was hidden, but fully aligned with what is now clear.